Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of tea because today we have very interesting stories and one of them is a story about a young talented OP, her best friend and friend's mother, who tried to steal OP's iPad for what she'd done to her precious son. Subscribe if you haven't and I hope you'll enjoy it. So some background. My spouse bought this house in 2011. Both houses are single-family detached homes. Both lots are 1.5 lots, so there is 33 feet roughly between our houses, compared to the 6 feet for the rest of the street. Neighbor husband was already in his house. I moved in 8 years ago. Shortly after, I saw the neighbor for the first time, and it was someone I've known since I was 4. Went to school all the way through high school together. We are 40. 3 years ago he met someone. She had at the time a 2-year-old girl. She would stay at his house and I would constantly find the kid wandering the streets. They would just send her outside with no supervision, no toys, no fenced yard and expect her to entertain herself. The child was and still is nothing but a brat. 2 years ago she moved in with her daughter. I run a daycare so my yard is full of fun toys. But we also have 3 other fenced off areas. One for our pool in the summer, one for our dogs, and one for our hot tub. All have separate fences and self-closing gates, plus my external fence is 6 feet. During 2020 when COVID hit bad the kids were doing virtual schooling from home. She never actually did it. She would be ringing my doorbell in the middle of the day asking me to open my yard for her. I would explain that she can't be here when I have daycare kids and my daughter will come out to play after supper. She went to their backyard, dragged patio furniture to my fence and climbed in. Who knows how long she was actually in there. But she decided she was done and then couldn't get out. The latch for my main gate is at the very top, so the babies can't open it when my back is turned. She started screaming. I ran out in a panic. Took her home, explained what happened to mom and mom gave me crap for just not allowing her to play. I face a $100,000 fine if she is caught on my property during daycare hours. I explained this, she still snapped and called me an idiot. I left it at that. Happened a handful more times. I started sending them daycare invoices. Still kept happening. I finally told them I would have to call the police next time. Which I did. Except this time, mom and grandpa were both sitting outside on the stairs and watched her do it. Also never bothered to come help her open the gate when she started screaming. Police gave them crap and told them to stop or mom would be charged with child endangering. I now have proximity sensors at the top of my fence and get a notification if anything goes over my fence. It's gotten better as she has gotten older. So last summer, we set up our above ground pool. Just ordered a new pump system and heater. Pool was half filled. I had also just done up all my planters. I casually glance at my security cameras and see her by the pool. I head out. Main gate was open as the neighborhood kids were running from yard to yard playing. She took it upon herself to go to the pool and take buckets of soil from my planters and dump it into the pool. $400 damage to my brand new $1,000 pump heater system that was up less than 4 hours. I snapped and screamed at her to get out of my yard and not come back. She is not allowed in my yard at all unless me.or my spouse is out there. Now to the current time. They had a new baby last week. And me hammering in my basement is disturbing them in their house 33 feet away. And they expect me to wait until the fall to finish my project. So I'm currently sitting on my bench outside enjoying a glass of water with my outdoor speakers playing metal while I mow the lawn. Which is much more louder than the little bit of hammering. I'll finish that tonight after dark. Edit. Lots of people are saying to call the police and CPS. I do call the police when I feel it's necessary. We have a major issue and they are busy with that. If I call, because it's non-violent and they recognize the address, it's at least 24 hours or usually not at all. I've spoken with child protection agents and this does not fall under their umbrella. It's not neglect. The kid doesn't listen. End of story. It's not like the parents are telling her to do it. As for those concerned about her wandering the neighborhood, I'm in a smaller city. My kid has been playing by herself in the neighborhood with regular check-ins since she was 4. I have no issues with that. At 2 and 3, when she originally did it was ridiculous. As for saying not to let my daughter play with her, I cannot take away my daughter's entire friend group, which is exactly what would happen. We are one of 3 houses in a row with kids. House 1 has 3 kids, House 2, problem house, has 2 kids, House 3, me, has 1 kid. House 1 and 2 all go to the same school. They are already outside playing by the time my daughter gets home. My daughter does activities Saturday and Sunday mornings, so the same thing. So not allowing my daughter to play with 1 kid also takes 4 others away. I like the way you decided to teach a lesson to this family. It seems it's the only way to make them understand what exactly they did wrong. It's like when someone is miserable, make the situation worse, then put everything back the way it was, that someone will be happy. So myself and my girlfriend were coming back from Paris after my brother's wedding. We took the Eurostar both ways, but on the way there we went standard class. My girlfriend and I were paying for the return and thought that we'd go for it by upgrading to standard premier, which was slightly more expensive than normal standard, but we don't go to Paris very often. There was a third option, business premier, but we're not made of money. The main differences between standard and standard premier are that with standard it's pretty cramped, and with standard premier you get extra legroom, and with regular standard you have to go and buy food on board, but with standard premier you get food and drinks at your seat. The different options are divided into different carriages. Standard is carriages from 1 to 5, premier is from 7 to 12, and from 14 to 18 are also standard. GF and I get to the train. Our seats are in a carriage towards the middle, and we're in one of the rows nearest the door. We get settled in our seats, ready to leave, when EM approaches. All paraphrasing. EM seemed nice at first, but it didn't last. EM. Excuse me. Me. Yes. EM. I'm terribly sorry to ask you this, I hope you don't mind. GF. Yes. EM. My daughter and I are traveling and we got put a bit far back. She has a bad leg, we need to be a bit closer to the doors, and we can't be getting up to get food and drink. GF. Oh, poor her. I broke my leg a couple years back and that was awful, had to have crutches and everything. How old is she? EM. She's 8, she's really in a bad way, but she's such a trooper. It would just be so much easier if we were a bit further forward. Me. Where are you sat? EM. Just a little further back. She gestures vaguely behind us and I get suspicious at this point. E. Yeah, but where specifically? What carriage number? EM. I think it was 3. Now, we were in coach 10. This is a significant distance. Additionally, coach 3 is standard seating only. Me is in 3 standard class. EM. Well, yes, but my daughter needs these seats. GF, catching on to EM's plan. Look, we're not unsympathetic, but we sort of paid extra for these seats. Me, also where is your kid? EM. I'm going back for her once I've sorted the seats. So can I tell her it's sorted? Me. We've not agreed to anything. Isn't coach 3 closer to the front than 10? If it's about proximity, wouldn't you be better off in coach 2? EM. No, she needs the legroom too. And she can't keep getting up to help. You look like you can afford it. E. Not really, we're only splashing out this once as it was my brother's wedding. EM huffs, look, are you going to give me the seats or not? GF, in this over-sweet voice she does that usually indicates she's on her last nerve with someone. It sounds like you're actually further up than we are. If legroom is an issue then I'm sure we can speak to someone. I'm pretty sure your coach has priority boarding. I'll help you find someone, sort something out, it's really no trouble. GF gets up and leads EM back to her coach, with EM grumbling the whole time. GF comes back about 5 minutes later and tells me that the daughter, who was not at all entitled, is also totally fine and in no way has a bad leg. Apparently the daughter straight up ran up to EM and my GF when they came in the carriage. And GF said that the kid was way too young to be left on her own and they were actually pretty close to the front of the train. But nothing else happened after that. No stopping and calling the police. EM just went back to her seat, but GF and I thought we saw her walk through the carriage before ours a little while later and speak to someone in there, so maybe she was trying again with someone else. I'm tired of people lying all over to get their way. Basically EM's legs need space, so steal expensive seats from a happy couple. Very good logic. I'm a female and just turned 18. I live with my adoptive parents and they are the sweetest people you'll ever know. For my birthday my grandad got me an iPad, an Apple Pen, and a drawing app I had been asking for. I love doing digital art and I was definitely ecstatic when I got it. My mom was so excited for me and took my shopping to get a case and stickers to decorate it with. The friend in question, I'll just call A, is the nicest person I've ever met. She's my closest friend and I don't blame her for what happened. I'd gladly take a bullet for her any day. A is also 18. The person who I despise is her mother. I'll call her Karen because why not? Karen is 38. The son she wanted to give my iPad to I'll just call B. B is 10 years old. Karen is a single mom and has made it the base of her personality. She runs a failing mommy blog and used to post parenting videos. She's still a very spiritual person and believes heavily in karma and creativity. She homeschools B and doesn't teach him how to read or write, just teaches him about karma and things of that nature. But that random word vomit out of the way, I'll get to the story. Yesterday Karen came over to drop off A so we could hang out and have a girls' day. My mom invited Karen in for coffee and let B have control of the TV remote. I immediately showed A my tablet and we both started acting like idiots and talking about color palettes. B didn't seem to care, but I caught Karen looking at us weirdly from the kitchen. I ignored it because I figured she was just watching B. A few hours went past and it started to rain. It wasn't just a drizzle, it was a downpour and there would be no way Karen could drive home safe. My mom told Karen that she and B could stay in the guest bedroom in A and I could sleep in my dad's game room. It has a pull-out couch facing the TV, so we were fine. B whined that he wanted to see the game room, but my dad has a rule that no one under 16 is allowed in as he has some scary games and concept art littered around. Karen protested lightly, but my mom shut her down and she dropped it. B had a full meltdown, so me and A went to draw in the crafting room, basement. I decided to show A some of my more scary drawings and pulled up a picture of a werewolf I had drawn. It wasn't gory or bloody, but it was scary and I didn't want to have it pulled up in case my mom saw. And I love scary things, so we decided to make a piece together. We put on a 5-minute timer and each took turns drawing. When we were done we had drawn a vampire biting into a girl's neck. We made it a bit scary and drew the vampire clawing at her arm. We printed the picture and hung it up so we could decide a color palette, but in the middle of selecting paints we heard the door open. We had locked it, but it was one of those crappy hook locks, so all it took to open was a few shakes. B came down the stairs and at first he didn't notice the printed paper. I told him to leave, but he ignored her and went to try and grab my mother's colored pencils. We stopped him and while we were dragging him towards the stairs he saw the picture hanging on the corkboard. I didn't know something so small could make a sound so loud. He screamed his lungs out and bit A's hand so she would let him go. He bolted up the stairs and I took A to the sink to wash her hand. We had a sink installed so we could wash paintbrushes. Within seconds Karen was down the stairs and I heard my mom trying to calm down B upstairs. The following is the conversation. I'm going to leave out the swear words so I don't get in trouble. So if you see any weird baby talk just know the conversation wasn't as nice as I typed it out to be. Karen, what the hell did you do to my son? A. We didn't do anything. Me. He came down here so we tried to take him upstairs and he flipping bit A's hand. Karen. No. What did you show him? At this point we didn't know that B had even seen the drawing. Me. What? We didn't show him anything. He just came down here and started screaming when we moved him. Karen, don't you flipping lie to me, you little ducker. He told me he saw you drawing a horrible thing. I figured out what she meant before I did. A. You mean the collab? It's not like that. It's a vampire. I looked over at the corkboard finally catching on and Karen ran over when she saw me looking. She ripped the paper off of the tacks we had used to put it up and gave this really dramatic gasp. She put a hand over her mouth and her eyes got wide. She looked ridiculous. Karen. Does your mother know what kind of filth you've been drawing? I was dumbfounded so I just answered honestly. Yeah. Karen looked even more offended and noticed my iPad on the table. Karen. If you're going to be drawing such inappropriate filth you don't deserve this. This maniac picked up my tablet and was about to walk up the stairs. I snatched it away and rushed to stuff it in my pencil bag. Karen tried to grab the bag, but I pushed myself into a corner. I clutched the bag super hard and started to scream for my mom. Mom? What's wrong? You don't need to scream. She saw Karen trying to grab me and ripped her away from me. I just want to say my mom is a big lady. She towers over my dad who is 5'10" and she's not dainty either. Karen immediately went on a tirade about how I was corrupting her son and forcing him to look at disgusting garbage. She shoved the art into my mom's face and she just kinda raised her eyebrows at Karen. My mom then turned to look at A. Mom. A, did she make your brother look at this? A. No. It was hanging up and he saw it. We had the door locked, but I guess he got in. Me. He bit A on the hand too. I showed her the bite and sent A upstairs to get a band-aid from the hall closet. My mom told Karen that she didn't appreciate her behavior and asked her to take B and leave. Karen looked pissed and I swear her face went beet red. Karen, are you flipping kidding me? She traumatized my baby. Mom, your son is fine. He wasn't supposed to be down here anyways. The door was locked and he must have forced it open. It was an honest mistake and I would like you and B to please leave. Karen, if you're going that way, at least give my son the tablet. He's going to need therapy and the tablet will help him express himself. My mom rolled her eyes. Mom. Fine. She walked over and grabbed a drawing paper tablet and handed it to Karen. Karen looked confused. Then she got angry and slammed the paper onto the ground. Karen. No, you dumb idiot. I want the one in her purse. My son needs it more than she ever will. If she's going to be drawing that cursed garbage then she doesn't deserve it. My mom asked what tablet I had and I told her that Karen wanted my iPad. She looked surprised for a second but just turned to Karen and told her to leave again. Karen was fussing and screaming saying things about how I was disgusting and that my art was inappropriate, but my mom threatened to call the police and she just stomped up the stairs. I said she was going to stay and Karen dragged B to the car. My mom sat us down and we went over the events. We all eventually ended up laughing and my mom put some antibiotic ointment on A's bite just to make sure it was clean. A is still here and my mom says she can stay in the guest room for as long as she wants. Before anyone asks, my dad is on a business trip and won't be back until Friday. My mom is going to call him tomorrow and tell him what happened just in case Karen tries anything. Update. I sat down with my mom last night and I put my dad on a Zoom call. After explaining the situation I just flat out asked. There were a lot of different opinions that were thrown out in the comments about how to ask. And at this time I forgot every single one and blurted it out. My mom told me she wasn't surprised and my dad said that he didn't have a problem with it. My mom wasn't as easy to convince because she believed having A stay with us would bring Karen around for more drama. It was a long talk and she told me she could still stay for a while, but to live with us is a completely different story. In the end she agreed, but stated that A would have to get a job as she and my dad couldn't support A for the rest of her life. I'm happy to say that the guest room is now A's room and my mom is gonna let us paint it however we want this weekend. This is the happy part of the update. As many of you kindly suggested, we got the police involved. We took a picture of A's hand, but the marks were barely visible. To the person who suggested this. You were right, we should have taken a picture earlier. And for those asking why my mom and I kept cleaning it even though the wound wasn't open, I'm an idiot and my mom was panicking. I won't lie and say I'm smart. I am a very dumb person and I do dumb things under pressure. Anyways. We called a non-emergency number and my mom did most of the talking. After a while we drove to Karen's house. It's not very big, but she has a large front yard that was full of miscellaneous items. She saw us pulling up and thought we were here to drop A off, but our escort surprised her. She had thrown some of A's things into the lawn, but it was mostly clothes and posters. I only picked up her scrapbook and that's all I saw before she went inside. Karen said me and my mom weren't allowed on her property, so we waited in the car. I heard Karen shouting, but I didn't understand what she was saying. I wasn't inside for long and she came out with her backpack and gym bag. Karen screamed at her to never come back and to never call her again, etc. We drove home and me and A kept thanking my mom. I left out a small bit of what happened for safety concerns after asking my mom and I cut out some of the stuff where it was just talking that didn't go anywhere. We unpacked some of A's personal items and we're going to have A in-house spa day once my mom gets home from work. There's going to be some changes in the house and we're going to have a house meeting once my dad gets home from his trip. Karen tried to call A's phone, but she blocked her number and we've been going through our daily routine. We share a bathroom now, so we've been cleaning up and rearranging to make space. This is the best possible outcome and I feel like I'm living in a dream world. I know A is upset though, so I've been trying to cheer her up. As many of you also suggested, my mom is going to report Karen for a number of things to CPS. I'm not really involved in that part of the situation, but my mom said she would keep me updated. Thanks for all the support me and A have received. You're all wonderful people and I hope you have an amazing day. I'm so happy for OP to have such a wonderful mother, and also happy for A who ran away from hers. It seems A wasn't even close to be happy living with her family. I hope now she will be happy with her new family. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here, the story about an entitled man who screamed at the cashier so loud the OP decided to teach him some manners in a very interesting way. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.